everybody. If you're watching this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. I'm back for another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville, RS, and Relaxation, Season 9, Episode 14, Reunion Part 1. Like I said, if you're watching this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to check out my other videos, especially on Black History Month. And because I always get like super hype views with this, and I just think we're in a critical time to learn about our history. But I also know that my people do just not, they say one thing and don't really support the other. Anyway, let me show y'all this real quick. All right, so y'all know I used to work at Old Navy for a few years, especially in college. Now this is a t-shirt of Malcolm X that's part of Old Navy series, right? And Old Navy does this every year, okay? But this is also what happens. Now, I know y'all like, well, why did you buy it if you were about to criticize it? For a reason. Because I do appreciate Old Navy's efforts, okay? But when we say diversity, this is what we mean. And not because Malcolm X is on it, because I'm about to go in. There is a picture on the right of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X shaking hands. Fine. Then there are two pictures from the March on Washington. First of all, Malcolm X was not there. Not only was Malcolm X not there, he disagreed with it before it happened and laid them out after it happened. Okay, you can check out Message of the Grassroots, 1963, one of his most famous speeches, right up under Ballot or the Bullet in 1964. Okay, y'all have two pictures from the March on Washington as like civil rights pictures. I knew that before I bought it, but I wanted this as evidence. Also, to have so much red, white, and blue for a man that also was constantly criticizing America for its mistreatment and disrespect of African Americans is wild. So when I say diversity, what I mean is inform people that know how to do this correctly. Okay? But yes, I did buy it anyway, and I also bought it because I like a shirt with Malcolm X smiling. It's like the poster on my wall of Malcolm X where he says that of all the subjects, history is the one we can attribute to most of our knowledge. But I have that over here. But anyway, so I say that to say, since you know Black history videos don't get the same amount of views. Nevertheless, okay, so Carlos, I heard your show is getting dumped. Actually, I didn't, but I did use a quarter of my brain to figure that out. Mel quit Love and Marriage Huntsville. Y'all heard that yesterday, I'm sure. Honestly, I don't blame her for her mental health and for the mental health of their children, especially living in a small town like that. And everybody knows your business and then weaponizes it against you. And you know they're probably jealous of her kids because they got money. Anyway, it's probably best. Honestly, being the whipping board for your haters who tried to pose as your friends and committed business partners has to be difficult. Okay, so I understand that much. Carlos, I don't really watch her YouTube channel, but the stuff I have caught, especially back when you and Heavenly were on there, y'all were annoying as hell with those loud, screechy, country-ass voices. I don't care if you're from Detroit. At times, your broken English, Carlos, and your subjects and verbs did not agree. Talking about your cast of a show you're producing, and so publicly, it's just bad business. It's just bad business. You notice how on these big reality shows, we don't ever really know who the producer is. All y'all like, well, Andy's in charge of stuff. No, he ain't. Andy don't write nobody's checks. He's a face of the big person who does write them checks, who is making the decisions on whether he's going to have a contract to appear. Get the hell out of here. Anyway, talking about your cast and talking about them poorly at that is some whack stuff. It's ill thought out. It's ill timed. And we see it as we see it, it leads to the end. And the end has come. Now, granted, some of you felt like this show should have been over by season 4. And I'm not going to lie, I understand. Okay? I get it. I receive that. Honestly, Mel should have left for having to be part of a show and cast where they have not fired or sanctioned Martell, her ex-husband, who has been arrested more than once for things he's done to Mel and or their children. She had to work around her alleged, and this is alleged because I'm just saying this, and I am only armchair psychologist, narcissistic ex-husband who sends his flying monkeys at her constantly on TV and into these scenes. Destiny, Marceau, Tisha, Kimmy, Maurice, Nell Fletcher. However, I will say, Mel, if anything, you gave a lot of women an example that there is life after divorce, and dare I say, a much better one. So you did your part, and quite frankly, this show will not go on without you, and I will not be reviewing it. Period. Because I know it's going to be some bullshit. Moving on. The pre-show in the dressing rooms, it was the background noise and the shady sounds for me. Just so y'all know, I'm going to have to pause this video because I got my egg rolls in the oven. And if you hear something go off, it's my Alexa timer. Anyway, yeah, so Mel says she's going to try to give everybody else a chance to shine because she's tired of slaying them every reunion. The shade, honey. I guess it's David against Goliath in that regard. Y'all know why David picked up 5 smooth stones, even though God knew it was only going to take 1 for Goliath to go out? Because Goliath had some brothers and some cousins. And let me tell you something. You can slay 1 giant, but trust me, the devil got plenty more. Anyway, Destiny's dress was damaged. Like her business acumen. You never win when you're dirty. Shout out to Nene Leakes. Anyway, Carlos said, we want to start with you, but the other option is to start without you. She said, well, the dress will be here in 20 minutes. And he just walked out. Like, he didn't even say anything messy or shady. He just walked out. He don't like you, Destiny. He does not like you. And when he brought up that you're back and you were like, you're welcome, bitch, you did not carry no show. So miss us. Okay? Is it just me? Or do y'all miss having an audience at these reunions? I understood with the COVID stuff, but I think Carlos is afraid to get booed and read by the audience, because we all know, like, the Love and Hip Hop audience and stuff. Like, the Bravo stuff has never had an audience, but they had an audience at one point. And I feel like Carlos is trying to protect himself by not having one. Martell's pants were tight as usual. He could hardly sit down. And I told y'all he's sus. But anyway, Mel girl, I don't know where you got that dress. I just know you should not have worn it. Okay? And whoever your stylist was should have said no, and should also be fired. It was not made for your breast size and shape. It looks weird. And the cape was just given banquet with 50 plus. Okay? And you are not at a banquet and you're not 50 plus. Nevertheless, those flashbacks with Tisha and Marceau and Mel and Martell, the Mel and Martell piece made me uncomfortable. Because I could tell she kept a brave face, but I could also tell she was affected by it. Why? Because I'm one of those people with enough emotional intelligence, and also I know myself, and that's how I would have reacted. But I know she was affected by it, and the kind of stuff that he's done is absolutely inexcusable, and anybody who excuses it can get the hell out of my face. Now, Mel is me. When I'm uncomfortable like that, I look straight ahead, but not at the person like Martell who thinks they can manipulate me and intimidate me. I look through something and keep my head up, because that's what my mother and grandfather always taught me. Don't you ever walk around with your head down. I don't care what people have done to you. Don't you ever let people see you sweat and walk around with your head down looking sad. No, you keep your head up. And let me tell you something, that pisses people the fuck off. Anyway, and guess what? I don't care. They gave me the best fucking lessons they could have given me. Anyway, Martell has asked if it's hard for him to watch Tisha and Marceau be this power couple now that him and Mel are divorced. Okay. Am I the only one that doesn't see Marceau and Tisha as a power couple? My idea of a power couple is Michelle and Barack Obama, is Beyonce and Jay-Z. Like, two people who are like in their lanes, but they're married. Like, Marceau and Tisha I don't see that. Anyway, he says, I'm not hating, but I'm not rooting for them. Then Kimmy's ass jumps in and says, well, why would anybody on the stage not root for each other? I said, bish. That's all y'all have ever done. Miss me. Okay. Miss me. Okay. So Tisha calls him out for the things he said and done to them as a couple. And he says, oh, you scared of Mel? You better be. Because you know who it was. Da 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 da. But Tisha got some gusto, didn't she? And was like, I do know it was you feeding Mel, your baby mama, and these other bloggers certain information about us in our marriage. The way he was screaming over Tisha, telling the truth, is like he's done, and we've seen him done and documented on camera with Mel, with Marceau, with Carlos, and anybody else who attempts to check him with the truth. He doesn't want the lie to come out, as if we don't know as the viewers it's a lie. So hearing Martell and Marceau argue about who has been building houses for longer was really stupid to me, because Marceau stays in a stick construction shifted house all the time with his construction hat on, and we don't see something come to fruition. So that's on one side. Meanwhile, Martell digs gardens and somebody comes and puts a demo trailer on it. I don't even know why y'all arguing over success. It's a tie. You both lose. Okay, as my brother would say. Anyway, so Carlos asked if Martell is mad about the jokes Marceau has made about his infidelity. I'm going to tell you what got me. When Martell said yes, because I've asked him to stop speaking on things I've done in the past, I thought you were trying to convince us that you never cheated on Melody. Or if you did, it was in response to her cheating first. A liar will always tell on themselves. Okay, so Marceau said, well, when he told me that, I changed my behavior. But when I said I lost respect for Martell, it was when he took that video of his ex-wife and was threatening her with it. And I had to pause. I said, I'm sorry, Marceau, aren't you the same one that was sending text messages talking about free Martello to an actual TV broadcast journalist? Don't. It's an issue because it affected you now. So Martello's like, well, where's the video? Where's the video? Well, that would be part of the crime that you pled guilty to bring up the video, you fucking idiot. Don't try to pull that shit. You know, well, speak on it if you know this. So Mel, in the coolest, calmest voice, and I know how much hard work that is when you can't stand somebody and they can depend on you, managing yourself in a way that is calculated and is designed to protect you, your family, your image, which does matter when you are a business person, and they can do that. And she kept it together and said, I'm not going to allow this narrative to be told this way. Like, Marceau, I don't even need you right here to speak on nothing. She said there was a video. He starts screaming over, doing that shit, and she keeps talking and says, I remember it was in New York and we were there for Destiny and LaBerry's wedding, which is why we were there. Pause. Mel, I know there's a piece of you that wants it to be clear to everybody else that yes, you're admitting that you are a part of this sex tape, so on and so forth, but it was with your husband, this, that, and the other. Probably because you anticipate the attacks. Well, you did it. You know them ignorant people. But you don't owe anybody more of an explanation about when and where you were having sex with your then husband after you came out and made that clear online. You don't have to do that every time, because I think that's unfair and degrading to you. Oh, that's my timer. Hold on about that. But I have to eat and handle my business after this video is over. So, yeah. And especially since eating is going to become a privilege, because we got 25% tariffs from Mexico and Canada because your president can't handle stuff. Anyway, so he was just like, well, he said, where's the video then? Where's the video then? I was like, it's with the authorities, asshole. Why would she show them the tape to prove it? He said y'all should be asking Mel these questions so she can explain and discuss their private business. He's admitted it online in an interview and essentially in court by pleading guilty. Martell said threatening a sex tape is not bad. Like, for real. He's talking all these things, talking about all these things Mel did. It's always generalized and catastrophized for his benefit. And he looks bad because nobody believes that shit at this point. Marceau jumps in and says, yes, he threatened the video and then tried to convince everybody that in that tape, Mel, his ex-wife, was giving head to another man. Come on now. What took y'all so long to finally say something? Marceau, you knew what kind of man he was when Mel was going through all of that. And that's why I say this is only because y'all got hit by Martell's train wreck of a personality. Anyway, Martell said that that's what she told you. Both Tisha and Marceau said she didn't tell us anything. No, this is what we know, because people had come to them before about it. Carlos said, well, you have been to court and everything. Is it true that you were found guilty of this? Martell says no. At this point, Mel, Marceau, and Tisha rolled their eyes so hard I thought they might faint. They might as well have fainted because everybody was over this bull Swiss. Mel said he pled guilty, and then he claims he didn't plead guilty, but he pled guilty, and now he's appealing it, and they have an appeal date. Mel said, and then he's like trying to talk over Mel. Mel said, first of all, do me a favor and don't address me. And he's loving, let me tell you something, Martell was loving every bit of this, because essentially he gets to harass and verbally abuse Mel and has access to her that he would not otherwise have if this wasn't for this show. And that's why I think Mel should sue the hell out of them for a hostile work environment, because Martell should have been sanctioned or completely fired. And y'all know all the shit that he does that never makes camera. And this isn't simply, I'm not simply calling it harassment or verbal abuse because he's cursing at her, but because he's telling her how horrible she is and degrading her publicly like abusers do. I'm over Martell talking at this point. Carlos laughing and Marcel so laughing was not funny to me. Even if it was an ironic laugh, it's not funny to me. Enough. Tisha going back in the dressing room talking about, you can't even argue with Marcel. He's like a little boy. No, he's not. He's a narcissist that thrives in chaos, cruelty, and manipulation. Don't even try to spruce it up like that. Then we get Kimmy on Maurice apparently for the rest of the episode. Kimmy, please go to Nell's hairstylist. And I don't usually offer Nell for anything, Nell with the N, but to get the proper blending for your lace front. Now I'm no expert on weaves and lace fronts. I've never had one. I've definitely worn a weave, before, but for a ponytail or different kind of things. But other than that, I keep my hair cut short. However, I do know that a lace front and a good lace front, you ain't supposed to see the line. Okay, that's what I do know. Because let me tell you something. Either way, I love hair that's laid. I love when people have their hair laid, honey. Anyway, but yours wasn't. Carlos said that people always have seen Maurice as the voice of reason. And I was like, compared to sexist ass Marceau and crazy ass Martell, I mean, you have two extremes. What the hell? So when they asked about the DUI, he said the officer suspected something and I got arrested for it. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say there aren't black people, because we know too well, and history has shown us too many times, trumped up charges, accusations, even what we saw with the Central Park 5, which are now the exonerated 5, regardless. And that's just a big case. We have seen that happen, but this is not the case for you, Maurice. So miss us with this stuff. Especially since the legacy of so many African Americans who were fighting for freedom or just standing up for themselves as sharecroppers were lynched and accused of things by the police before being lynched. Don't cheapen this shit. You made a bad decision. Anyway, so he says, I got arrested for it. Is this the difference, as far as I'm concerned, between an overt narcissist like Martell and a covert narcissist like Maurice? Because he handles his manipulation a little bit differently. That's really the difference. He has to be a terrible ass lawyer. No wonder why Credit One ain't there no more. Whether he's a litigator or not, he's stupid. He's really stupid and thinks that if he speaks in a certain way, the rest of us will be convinced. And that's how you know he's relied on manipulation to get him where he is. Carlos asked if there was a breathalyzer administered after he brought up that there was speculation of him running into a pole. How the fuck is that speculation, Carlos? You ran into a pole or you did. I'm sorry, ain't no middle ground for that. Now, see, if you kind of run off the road and get back on, see, you can speculate that. Running into a pole, miss me, okay? He was like, I don't want to go into details. This is Maurice. I want to go into details, but if you look at the public record, a breathalyzer was administered. Now, Mel based everything she said, when Kimmy pulled that shit on her, she said, I got it from the public record. Not from nobody's blog, not from nobody's website, giving their editorial opinions, but from the public record. Now you want to send everybody back to it? Miss me. He said it's an ongoing legal case. I bet. All right, then Maurice says the difficult part is having almost everyone on this stage convict me before a decision was rendered. Maurice does what narcissists do. He takes one thing that he's been called out for and then tries to divert it onto somebody else to make himself appear as the victim and to distract everybody else from what he actually did so he doesn't have to take accountability. And that kind of shit, basically, you're telling me as a viewer, you think I'm stupid. I'm not Kimmy. I'm not Monster. Okay? Miss me with the bullshit. And he's up here talking about innocent until proven guilty. According to Maurice. Now, my thing is, yes, absolutely, we learned that a person who is a defendant is always innocent until proven guilty. But this is in the public, and honestly, it's in the public because you're on this show. Okay? People get DUIs all the time. So don't act like you haven't rendered opinions before things have happened as well. Anyway, and we know that, but it was public record. And then Kimmy was like, yeah, y'all did all this reading about him. Isn't that what he just told y'all to do, read the public record? But did anybody ask if he was actually okay? Well, the mugshot alone, Kimmy, tells us that he was alive and could stand if he had a mugshot. But Destiny and Tisha were both like, we care. Like, I text you, whatever. And my thing is, Destiny, for you to have tried to pull that shit you pulled, y'all are welcome. Like, you carried this show, and then all you could do is raise your hand and say, I sent a text message, or kind of key, and Martell looking like a pick-me bitch when you're supposed to be his friend. You look lame, okay? But this show will not go on. Certainly not me reviewing it, okay? And before y'all try to read me, well, you're not even no big YouTuber. No, I'm not. Because this ain't my bread and butter. But anyway, we back to these people. So nevertheless, and I'm grateful it's not. Anyway, Carlos asked what happened between the time Maurice left Black and got home. He was like, I was traveling in a vehicle. Why didn't you and Kimmy go together? Just on the strength of saving gas. We in a recession, whether they call it that or not. That just seems strange to me. The two married people wouldn't ride in the same car. But anyway, Carlos asked, were you alone? Messy. And Martell starts laughing. Well, Martell, your whole life is a Greek tragedy, so you really shouldn't be laughing at anybody, but it does take one to know one, and that's what I felt like was happening in that moment. So he said he was the only person there, and Maurice said, I was alone. Carlos asked if Kimmy was the last woman he was with that night. Now, see, Carlos, now you're a producer. He's just a producer, right? And he is asking you questions in a way that can hem you up. But you are so entangled in yourself, Maurice, that you are not smart enough to see it coming because you're too busy trying to talk to other people like they're stupid. So Carlos said, Kimmy, so you went home. Kimmy said, are you assuming I went home? Carlos was like, well, I watched the show and you said you were home. My thing is, Kimmy, you're doing that fake ass, dumb ass, Rashida bullshit. No, I don't watch Love and Hip Hop, but I see enough pass through on TikTok and shit. We know the kind of man Maurice is. And just like we know the kind of man Kirk is. You couldn't be kicking it with another man and he stay. So don't try to imply like, yeah, I got mine, he got his. That's what you were trying to imply. I'm not stupid. And no, I don't believe it. Just like I think Rashida said that kind of stuff. I think she's embarrassed and she's trying to create a narrative that makes her look less weak by staying with Kirk. Like, I messed around on him, he messed around on me. Kimmy, how long did it take you to come up with that story before the reunion? Because you damn sure wasn't answering them questions like that when Mel was asking you in private when it was just y'all one-on-one and you tried to act like she somehow was just talking all this shit behind your back. Anyway, the issue is your husband got a DUI. That's the issue. See, I'm playing these games with these dummies who think they're smart. It's his job to defend himself. You're giving real pick-me-sha vibes, and it's not the move. Because, Kimmy, I actually saw you, not Maurice, you as the level-headed one. And then to realize that I have been conned all this time, and there has been several of you in the comments, I accept it, I receive it, and I told you that, who have been catching this all along. But damn. Okay, so then Carlos asked, so where did you go when you left Black? And she said, well, this isn't my line of questioning. Well, baby, you gave us something else to talk about. And Destiny's stupid ass is bigging it up like, yeah, she was doing her thing. Girl, bye. Okay, just stop. Hoping Kimmy will back her up when it's her turn. And she'll only do that. She only gonna back you up, Destiny, if the target is male. She don't really give a fuck about Sonny either way. Anyway, Carlos said it's only speculation because when I asked, you haven't answered, Kimmy. I said, I don't even like Carlos, but you know what? Fuck it. This is all about to go to hell anyway. Let's just go ahead and do what we gotta do. Anyway, and she said, I made a stop. No, you didn't. You just made that up. And Carlos got her together when he said, you fall in line with the rest of the Scots by being a gaslighter. And he was like, so did you get a burrito from the gas station or a slushie from the 7-Eleven? She was like, I wish we had a 7-Eleven. First of all, ma'am, ain't nowhere to stop. Okay? You ain't gonna talk to me like, I don't know, deep south country towns. You're not gonna do that. Okay? The only place you could make a stop is a gas station to get gas. Everything closes by 10 p.m. The only place that would have been open is a nightclub like Black that probably closed at 12 or 1. Okay? Miss me. I know how this goes in a Bible Belt, in a cotton belt. Stop playing with me. Anyway, and this is still about his DUI. Okay? So she only realized her husband was booked at 12 p.m. the next day. And she said she wasn't worried at all until she got the call. So Carlos said, so is it normal for him to come home at 10 or 11 a.m. in the morning? And she goes, not at all. But my thing is, if that's not normal, and this is your husband, and he hadn't come home and y'all left from the same place, even if we take the cheating thing off the table, you weren't worried? You didn't call nobody? Talk about my first thought is hospital. Did you call the hospital? You're his wife. You can get access. Kimmy, stop. Just stop. It's lame as hell. Okay? So Mel was over there shaking her head and rolling her eyes. I definitely understand how that could piss anybody off, including Kimmy. However, there is a good chance that her shaking her head like that is indicative not only of maybe her like this is BS, but also of her experience. And knowing and remembering that she was once making excuses and defending Martell privately as well. That was the way she dealt with it. And it ended up in disaster and divorce. But Kimmy, you're older and you're supposed to know better. And you've lived long enough to know better than that. To make this about you and defend that lemon head ass bum you married to. Anyway, I mean, he ain't no bum. I wanted to say something else, so I'm going to leave it there. Anyway, when she asked if she thought Maurice was cheating on her, she said no. She said, but she doesn't put it past people. Good. You shouldn't. All right. And I don't like chicks. And this is to Kimmy's point. I don't like chicks that act like, oh, that would never happen to me. As if it's something you can control or something other women didn't do and therefore deserve it. I don't like when people do that either. Because that's some lame shit. Instead of blaming men for their behavior. And she was like, I wouldn't say, oh, this could never happen to me. I agree. I think that's a good approach. But it sounds like you're going on the defensive in this case. And also in case something gets exposed. So you can say, oh, I didn't put it past him. Kimmy, this is still about Maurice's DUI. And I'm going to keep saying it. Because y'all not going to play me like that. So she said it wouldn't surprise me. And Maurice said, well, it would surprise me. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. You know what you do and have done and did. Okay, and the reason why I know you wouldn't have put up with Kimmy if she, like, to my Rashida point, because we all know, whether it has been said directly or not, Kiowa with her ugly ass cheated on you and you left her. So I know, and she was the kind that would have kept cheating on you and you still was hung up. That's why you were always defending her from Kimmy. Anyway. And while Maurice is saying it would surprise me, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was Kimmy. Maurice, why are you always on your period? I'm trying to figure that out. So Carlos wasn't letting up, and it gave me a good kiki. I had to be honest. So Carlos asked Maurice, how did you feel when Mel talked to you about losing a family member to a drunk driver? That was the question, okay? Because she spoke about how she lost her grandmother to a drunk driver. And while it doesn't surprise me, it's really disappointing that y'all's first reaction isn't, I'm really sorry that you lost your grandmother that way. That's just not a good way to be. So Maurice responds and says it was unfortunate. Now, mind you, he asked her how he felt when Mel told him she lost a family member to a drunk driver. And he goes, that was unfortunate to see Melody disparage my character. What? Covert narcissist, and barely, because I can see through it. So what you should have said, Maurice, the lawyer, was, Mel, I'm sorry for your loss. But since this case has not been adjudicated, and I don't want to be put in the same category as someone who caused you and your family great pain, can you please understand that I just don't want to be put in that category? But he had to make it about him and play victim. You disgust me. You really do. He said she had the opportunity to show who she was, and she did. And it tells a lot about somebody when they take a chance to make a moment. I said, Maurice, a moment. This show ain't about you. We don't ever miss you and Kimmy when y'all aren't on the episode. It's nothing like, oh, I wish they would have showed them. Hell, I even go with Marcel and Tisha, despite how I feel about them. Oh, they weren't on this episode. I never say that about Maurice and Kimmy. All these M names. Mel is the reason why all y'all are on this stage. Not simply because it was her brainchild, but also because she is the center of attention, whether she wants it or not, from the cast. Okay? Y'all keep her name in y'all's mouth. She doesn't have to take a moment. Mel brings up how he gave his opinion on her and her past marriage on a regular basis. Finally, Maurice gets around and says, it's not Maurice versus anybody on this stage. It's Maurice versus the state of Alabama's unlimited resources. Maurice, I think you've overinflated your importance. First of all, we all know Alabama as a state has limited resources. That's why y'all's taxes are so low down there, and New York is paying to them pot so much more while y'all benefit, and we up here with high rent rates and high taxes, not just on food and products, but also high taxes in terms of our checks. Don't even get me started. Freaking, never mind, I'm not going to start because I don't want nobody to try to chase my salary. But the amount of money that comes out of my check is absolutely ridiculous, especially with Social Security that I know I will never see. It's going to be gone because they are all looting all our money up there in the government, and they've been doing it. Since 2008, Congress was always stealing and making bad decisions. Barack Obama be damn, Congress makes those decisions. Anyway, so don't talk about Alabama with unlimited resources. You ain't living in LA County. Anyway, so you should have said that shit from the beginning and refused to answer, but you wanted to whip on Mel again because it's easier to punch down, and you a weak motherfucker for that. And like I said, it never works out on reality TV to beat up on one person the way y'all think it will. It feels good. It feels like you're making somebody look bad when you're filming. Once it goes out to the public, it looks like a pile up. And people like me, who may not see it from Mel in my day-to-day life, if there's anything I can't stand, it's people bullying and beating up on somebody like that. I don't like it. And I'm not going to defend it. And I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon in real life or in fake life like this stuff. Okay? Don't pull it with me. Anyway, Kimmy, you have some nerve. So they bring up how Mel and Kimmy had an argument because Tisha took the information back. Yeah? Okay. So Carlos asked her about the comment she made where she essentially said Mel wants everybody to be a cheater, based on what she experienced personally. Now that's a dig within itself. Okay, Kimmy was like, I don't know if she wants it, but it's exhausting and I'm sick of the accusations over the years. I was like, what accusations? What are you talking about, Kimmy? I don't remember Tisha throwing a damn party or support group meeting for you, even as you battle breast cancer, but Mel did that for you twice. While your husband is worried about how much sex he's going to get or not, and that becomes your main concern instead of you dealing with your freaking healing. Now, I'm not saying because somebody does something kind for you that you owe them for the rest of your life, but I am saying when somebody does something kind for you, you should be grateful, appreciative, and remember those things in tough moments with the friendships. Okay? Okay. Mel didn't bring that up to you as if she had never experienced it. So even when she was talking to you in that garage, wherever the hell y'all were doing that exercise, matter of fact, she said to you, I know how it feels for your spouse to do something stupid, and then because you're married, you have to also deal with the embarrassment and the humiliation. Okay? So she didn't bring it up like, oh girl, what you gonna do now? Like she had never been through it. Now, whether you think her motives were messed up or not, she didn't do that without putting herself in that same situation. And for that, you should be grateful. So Carlos asked about the lipstick. He asked Mel if she ever found out if Maurice was cheating on Kimmy, would you tell her? And she said probably not. I wouldn't either. And I don't believe in doing that. And I remember two people I knew in college who would do things like that, like bring that stuff up to other women I was in college with. Like, oh, I saw your boyfriend here or there. And I always thought that was so cruel. They're obviously not my friends anymore, okay? You can pick that kind of stuff up. And I think they did it to hurt people and to put pain inside them because you're obviously dealing with your own pain. Oh, this guy did this to me, so I'm going to make sure I do this to every other. That's some weak shit. And that's some lame shit, and it's a character flaw. And I guarantee you those are the kind of bitches who will be like that for the rest of their life. Anyway. But that's a character flaw. And no, you shouldn't. And no, it's not your place. So then Maurice goes, oh, why not? Because y'all are those type of friends? Obviously. And I wanted to say, you lemon hair mother, you better hope if she finds out she keeps that. And Mel said, we've spent minimal time together, Kimmy, to keep it real. And no, we're not those kinds of friends. Even if they said it to me, honestly, if somebody even brought that to me, I'd be like, you need to get out of my face. And that's what I would do. I don't want to be bothered with that kind of stuff. And people who like to be bothered with that stuff, especially over the age of 30, I don't have nothing for you. I am somebody who is introverted to myself. I go to work. I handle my business. I teach my students to the best of my ability. I might go out for a drink, and I have no problem doing that by myself sometimes. And I come home. Because peace, and I really do mean real peace, like not hearing about people's gossip or how terrible their lives are, that doesn't give me a push. I can enjoy so many things. I like to read. I like to watch things that are intellectually stimulating. And I also like to watch things like this. Anyway, and then Mel asked, well, over the years, how many times have you heard me make any comments to you directly about Maurice, Kimmy? And she was like, well, not many, but it's the speculation I didn't like. I said, Kimmy, your arms are too short and your waist is too big, okay, for the reach. Stop. You're embarrassed, and let's beat up on Mel because we all know the whole cast will get together to make her feel bad. All right? Now, Mel said, look, I brought up the lipstick because it was all over social media. Maurice was like, they make up stuff all the time. Mel said, I'm not even saying it wasn't made up. I ask questions. Now, if you can't answer them, and this is just me, if you can't answer them, well, it is what it is. Now, then Kimmy jumps in and says, they talked about your bad butt job. I clearly missed this on social media, and we didn't sit down every day and discuss it. And I was thinking to myself, well, you bringing it up now with the viewership of this show to embarrass her. So that really cancels your point. And my thing is, y'all have sat down plenty of times on TV and run Mel in the ground. Don't you dare act like y'all haven't sat down and discussed Mel and Martell and defended Martell in the process. based on your own speculations. Don't play with me like that. Okay, so Mel said it was a key moment, and Kimmy was like, I anticipate key moments, and I take them on the chin, and when I give it back, it's a problem. I was lost. Now, I wasn't lost. I was like, you're talking to us like we don't know. That's the exact opposite of what happens to you. It happens to Mel, and then that's how y'all treat it. Mel has taken those shots on the chin and endured all that BS over the years. When she started moving like y'all moved this season, now y'all are mad? Kimmy, you mad at your husband for his DUI, and you need to address that. And y'all have managed to make it about Mel. That's why this show is toast. Because now that Mel has left, there's nothing that can go on. I'm not watching Marcel and Tisha. I'm not watching Martell continue to take his sorry train wreck personality all over the place hurting people. Destiny is lame as hell. Can't get a business off the ground. Nell and Fletcher are boring. Okay. Who's the other group? Kimmy and Maurice. Done. Okay. That was projection of the highest sort, Kimmy. Y'all are on some BS. Excuse me. They talk about how they have to have a meeting with Mel at least once a year over what's been said, this, that, and the other. I said, bitch, you don't have to go. You a business owner, right? You a nurse, right? You don't have to go. You can say the hell with that meetup the way Stormy did. Well, she didn't really do that. She came and then she quit. I already know how it goes. If you feel like you have to show up, then Mel is the boss. BAWSE, like we say in Atlanta, boss that we thought she was. Then we get to the preview for next week, and we still have to hear ugly ass Nell. Why is it that she's always in her feelings when Carlos called her out and called them a seasoned couple? Why is that shady? We know y'all older. Y'all got grown kids and grandkids. Nell, you need to quit tripping. Okay, you're better off just being humble about it. Everybody saying you look good for your age. Anyway, so Nell is pissed about the mentoring comment, and then for Fletcher to apparently jump in and say all those times she could have been at home with her mother, then she should have done that. Because my mother's my priority, not my homegirl. Don't blame Mel for that. And once again, they blaming Mel and not addressing, well, this is at least in the preview, not addressing Martell. No, he's the one who needed a mentor. That sounds like to me something that your friend would do. And if you did that willingly now with your grown ass, the hell with you. Anyway, that's all I got. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share, go back and look at the Black History Month videos. I'll see y'all soon enough.